2 Stanley Cup Finals. 2 devastating losses. Same opponent. Same result. The Florida Panthers have done something to the Edmonton Oilers that nobody saw coming when this core was first assembled. They walked into Edmonton's house twice and walked out with the trophy that Connor McDavid has been chasing his entire career. So what does an organization do when back-to-back heartbreaks keep exposing the exact same weakness? You bring in the most controversial, most decorated, most polarizing bench boss in modern hockey history. Mike Babcock is back. And before you go anywhere, the hiring of Babcock is actually not the real story here. There is one move, one single decision, that will determine whether any of this matters at all. And if Stan Bowman gets it wrong, McDavid's window doesn't just close. It slams shut. So let's break this down properly. First, let's understand why Babcock. Because a lot of people are reacting emotionally to this without thinking about what Edmonton is actually trying to accomplish. Mike Babcock carries real baggage, and anyone who pretends otherwise isn't being straight with you. But here is what the front office saw when they looked past the noise. Stanley Cup champion with Detroit in 2008. Stanley Cup Final appearances in 2003 with Anaheim and again in 2009 with the Red Wings. 2 Olympic gold medals coaching Team Canada, Vancouver 2010 and Sochi 2014. This is someone who has stood behind a bench in moments where everything is on the line, who has coached generational talent before, and who understands the weight that comes with being one of hockey's most watched franchises. Connor McDavid has 2 years left on his contract. 2 years. There is no rebuilding timeline. There is no patience for a young coach still figuring things out at the NHL level. Bowman needed someone who has already lived through those moments and come out the other side with hardware. Whether you like Babcock or not, that profile fits the assignment. And Babcock himself said it clearly at his introductory press conference. He knows the game has changed around him, he knows what worked in 2010 and what needed adjusting by 2014, and he understands that growth is not optional. It is the whole point. Adding DJ Smith to the staff as an assistant, a man who has head coaching experience in Ottawa and most recently served as interim head coach with the Kings, gives this bench real depth of experience at multiple levels, so the hire makes sense. But the hire alone solves nothing, because Edmonton does not have a coaching problem. Edmonton has a goaltending crisis that has now directly contributed to losing 2 consecutive Stanley Cup Finals. And that is the conversation that actually matters this offseason. Think about what this roster is capable of offensively. McDavid, Draisaitl, the supporting cast around them, that group can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the league. The firepower is not the issue. The issue is what happens at the other end of the rink when the pressure reaches its absolute peak. The front office did try to address this mid-season, and credit to them for recognizing the problem. In December, they moved Stuart Skinner to Pittsburgh and brought in Tristan Jarry, who was supposed to provide some stability between the pipes. It did not go as planned. Jarry struggled badly enough that he was actually scratched for the opening games of the playoff series. The team turned to Connor Ingram, who competed hard but couldn't hold things together at that level. And when Jarry returned to the crease, he was tagged with 3 of the 4 losses, finished the series with a goals against average of 3.86, and his only other showing came in a 4-3 overtime defeat in Game 4. That is not a net you can win a championship with, regardless of who is coaching behind it. This is the wound that keeps reopening. And no coaching hire in the world can fix a leaky net from the bench. So now the real pressure shifts to Stan Bowman. While everyone has been focused on the Babcock news, Bowman is the one who has to solve the problem that actually knocked Edmonton out of 2 finals. He needs a goaltender, a legitimate one, someone who can steal a game when the offense goes quiet, because that moment will come. It always does in the playoffs. There are names being discussed. Jordan Binnington of the St. Louis Blues keeps coming up, and while he is a complicated figure in hockey circles, the evidence shows he elevates when the talent around him elevates. His performances for Team Canada at the 2024 Four Nations Face-Off and at the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan both demonstrated he can handle the biggest stages. There is also a practical detail worth noting. Binnington has already shared a locker room with McDavid at both of those tournaments. That existing comfort level is not irrelevant when you are trying to build trust quickly in a high-stakes environment. Then there is the long shot that would send shockwaves across the entire league. Connor Hellebuyck, who just led Team USA to a stunning upset over Canada at the Olympics, is reportedly available out of Winnipeg. Whether he would actually welcome a move to Edmonton is a separate question entirely, but the Oilers would be making a mistake if they didn't at least pick up the phone. And then there is Sam Montembeault in Montreal, a quieter name that keeps surfacing in these conversations, who has shown real development over the past couple of seasons and deserves genuine consideration given how scarce true starting caliber goaltending is across this league. 3 names. 3 very different price tags. 3 very different risk profiles. Bowman has to weigh all of them, and he has to move with urgency, because the clock is the real enemy in all of this. 2 more seasons with McDavid. That is the window. That is the entire equation. And when you understand the situation in those terms, certain decisions stop being debatable. Entering next season with Jerry as the unquestioned starter is not a viable path forward for a team with this offensive ceiling and this narrow a championship timeline. That is not about questioning Jerry as a person. It is simply the reality of what this moment requires. The talent in front of the net has to match the talent surrounding it, and right now that gap is the clearest reason Edmonton has watched Florida celebrate on their ice 2 years running. Babcock can adjust systems. He can push players. He can make the right call in the 3rd period of a Game 7. But he cannot stop pucks. No coach can. Hiring Babcock sends a message that Edmonton is not interested in being competitive. They are interested in winning. That distinction matters. But bold decisions behind the bench do not win Stanley Cups on their own, and this organization has now gone through 2 finals appearances without solving the one problem that keeps costing them everything. Stan Bowman's real work this summer has not even started yet. Find the goaltender. Build around Babcock. Give McDavid his best shot while there is still time to take it. Because if 2 years from now the Oilers are standing at the same crossroads with the same questions unanswered, no resume, no reputation, and no press conference is going to make that hurt any less.